بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين مولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المذلومين المنتخبين المنتجبين الذين كلامهم نور وأمرهم رشد ووصيتهم التقوى وفعلهم الخير وعادتهم الإحسان وسجيتهم الكرم لا سيما على مهدي هذه الأمة وطاووس أهل الجنة الحجة بن الحسن العسكري أرواحنا فداء. قال مولانا علي بن الحسين زين العابدين صلوات الله وسلامه عليه: السلام عليك يا أمين الله في أرضه وحجته على عباده، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. Our discussion continues on analyzing the ziyarah known as Ziyarat Aminullah. This month being the month of the Holy Quran, as well as the month of the istishhad of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and a month where often this ziyarah of Aminullah salamullahi alayhi is recited. Over the 2 nights that have passed, we've discussed what was meant by the word Amin and what Amin was actually referring to. We discussed yesterday what was meant by Hujjah and what were the key qualities of the Hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what was our key responsibility and role in regards to the Hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today the discussion comes on the third sentence or third line of the ziyarah, where Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, as the riwayah says, and we quoted the riwayah in the first day, with tears in his eyes facing the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, says, Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Peace be upon you, the one who is the commander of the faithful, the Amir of the Mu'mineen. And analyzing this title of Amir al-Mu'mineen, many issues come about. Many riwayat discuss what was the true meaning of this word Amir al-Mu'mineen, or this title. Often when we hear Amir al-Mu'mineen, a lot of people don't ponder on what it actually means, what the word Amir actually is derived from. And so what was meant by Amir al-Mu'mineen, and what other questions arise with regards to this title and this sentence of the holy Ziyarah al-Muqaddasa, Ziyarat Aminullah. The first question that initially comes to our minds is that why is it that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam mentions these 3 different titles? Because there's only a point to mention 3 different things when each of them have a different meaning. Looking at, for example, Imam Ali alayhi salam from a different perspective. And so what was the difference between his statement, Assalamu alayka ya Amin Allah, Assalamu alayka ya Hujjat Allah, and Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen? What's the difference in these 3 statements? And if a person stops to analyze these 3 statements that we've looked at, we see some key differences between the first 2 and the statement that we look at today. Number 1, when he said, Assalamu alayka ya Amin Allah fi arde, the Amin of Allah, the one who has been entrusted that trust by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that title, that laqab, isn't a title that is just specific for Amir al-Mu'mineen. Rather, it's a title that is used for the Prophet of Islam, a title that can be used for other Anbiya and Ma'sumeen and A'imma. It wasn't specific. And Imam Sajjad said the Amin of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fi ardeh, on this earth. Very broad statement. Amin is broad, and and general can be used for other individuals. And where was he the Amin? On this earth, general. Then when we come to the next line, وَحُجَّتَهُ عَلَىٰ عِبَادِهِ, Hujjah also, as we discussed yesterday, is general. Can be used for any of the Imma, any of the Ma'sumeen, any of the Anbiya and Mursaleen. However, it was made slightly more specific. In the previous sentence, it was said fi ardeh. And the second, it said ala ibadeh, on the servants. Servants of God is more specific than the earth. The earth contains other creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that are not classified as ibad, or the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we started general. The second line we got more specific. In the third, we become more specific from both sides. Previously, Aminullah was general, could be used for others. Hujjatullah could be used for others. But then Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says, Wa assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen, number 1, is a title that is specific And it was specific for who? Previously ibad, previously ard, now it was specific to the mu'mineen. And so we see that Imam Sajjad starts off by speaking generally and then becomes more specific in the titles that he gives for the Holy Imam alayhi salam. And as we said, Amir al-Mu'mineen was a title that was specific to Abu al-Hasan Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. For example, a very well-known riwayah says that on one occasion a person he entered upon Abi Abdullah alayhi salam وقال السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. A person enters in front of Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam and says, peace be upon you, O Amir al-Mu'mineen. The riwayah says, فقام على قدميه. Straight away he stands on his 2 feet and he said, be quiet. Now here, there is a way of analyzing this riwayah. The riwayat say from the Imam alayhim salam, alaykum bid-dirayah, la bil-riwayah. The responsibility of us is to understand narrations, not just narrate and narrate and narrate, to understand what the narration was saying. Why the Imam did this in this way and not in another way. So it says the person enters into Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, oh, peace be upon you, ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imam As-Sadiq faqama ala qadimayh. He stands on his 2 feet. He says, please be quiet. No one can be called Amir al-Mu'mineen except for my grandfather, Amir al-Mu'mineen. This is specific for him. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called only him Amir al-Mu'mineen. From this riwayah, we find 2 very important things. Number 1, why did he stand? Why did Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam stand when that person came and said Amir al-Mu'mineen? Either we say he stood to show the intensity of what this person has done, that you shouldn't call anyone else with that title because he's done that. And I wish to show him how serious this issue is. I stood up. But al-aqrab ila al-dhahan, that which seems more likely, is that on hearing the title and laqab of his grandfather, out of respect, Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam immediately stands up. Immediately stands up. And the riwayah, the second important part of this riwayah, is when Imam As-Sadiq is referring to his grandfather. When he says, La yaslah, no one else has the potential to be able to be called this title, Amir al-Mu'mineen, except for. Now, normally what would he say? You would say, no one else has the ability or has the right, mathalan, to be called Amir al-Mu'mineen, except for, we would say, Ali ibn Abi Talib, or we would say Imam Ali alayhi salam. But look at how much respect and reverence Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam gives to his grandfather, that he didn't say, only my grandfather Ali can be called Amir al-Mu'mineen. He said, only Amir al-Mu'mineen can be called Amir al-Mu'mineen. And so this was a title that we understood was specific to the holy Imam Salamullahi alayhi. In the way that there is only one Sayyid al-Shuhada. Abu Abdullah al-Huseini is the only one that we can call Sayyid al-Shuhada. Not that the other A'immah didn't have excellence and virtue, but certain titles from Allah were specific for certain people. Or the title of Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman of Al-Qa'im, Ajlallahu Ta'ala Farajah al-Sharif, this was specific for him. And so we understand, therefore, the first question has been answered. What was the difference between this title and the other titles previous? The Imam starts, as Zain al-Abidin, by mentioning things which are slightly more general and then very specific, a specific title for Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. In analyzing this statement, a question comes. When we say he is Amir, and inshallah we'll see what exactly is meant by Amir in this title. When we say he is Amir, why was he just Amir of the Mu'mineen? If you translate Amir as commander, if you translate, some have said Prince of the Believers. We'll discuss exactly what is meant. Why was it Amir of the Mu'mineen, not Amir of Muslimin, not Amir of the human beings? Sometimes we find certain things which are made specific for a mu'min. An example is that Quran al-Kareem says, Baqiyya, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Baqiyatullahi khayrun lakum in kuntum mu'minin. Riwayat say what is meant by Baqiyatullah is Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, Ajlallahu Ta'ala Farajah al-Sharif. And we're being told that he is better for the mu'mineen. Baqiyatullahi khayrun lakum in kuntum mu'min. If you're a mu'min, Sahib Zaman will be beneficial to you. So some people ask the question, does that mean that Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-sharif. His benefit is only for the mu'mineen. And a person who's not a mu'min or not a Muslim doesn't gain something from the holy Imam. We know that isn't the case. Riwayat speak about how all of mankind is given certain bounties by the presence of an Imam. All of mankind can benefit from an Imam, can be guided from an Imam, gains blessings from an Imam. So why is it then that it was said, Baqiyatullahi khayrun lakum, Sahib Zaman is better for you if you are a mu'min? When Sahib Zaman helps, or there is a benefit to all of mankind from just the presence of an Imam on this earth. The same question comes, why was it mentioned Amir of the Mu'mineen? He has authority over all of mankind. So why was he made the one who has authority and is Amir over the Mu'mineen? Wal jawab. The answer to this is that sometimes I have, for example, a diamond. If I give this diamond to a child, the diamond is valuable. The diamond is beautiful. If I give it to a child, would the child understand its worth? Of course not. A child cannot differentiate between this diamond that you put in front of him and another rock, mathalan, that is worth nothing. He can't differentiate. And so because the child doesn't understand the worth of that which is in its hands, it cannot benefit from it. بينما الإنسان, another human being, an adult, sees a diamond, he knows the worth, he's able to use it to his benefit. And so because the child doesn't understand the worth of that thing, it's not that beneficial to him. Even though the diamond remains a diamond, remains beautiful, remains valuable. Likewise, when it comes to Baqiyatullah khayrul lakum, for example, Sahib Zaman, his wujud, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-sharif, brings benefit to all. And we have certain ziyarat. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, because of us Ahlul Bayt on this earth, and because of the Nabi, Anbiya, and Mursaleen, and A'imma, and Ma'sumeen, Allah allows rain to fall from the sky, crops to grow because of the wujud of an Imam. So yes, Sahib Zaman is also Baqiyatullah for others. But because they don't understand his worth, they can't take benefit from him in the way that a mu'min would. For a mu'min understands the worth of that son of Zahra alayhi salam. Kadhalik, Amirul Mu'mineen is Amir for all, has authority over all. But as we'll see when we discuss what was actually meant by Amirul Mu'mineen in the riwayat, we'll notice that because it's the mu'min that understands the worth of the holy Imam, he can benefit from this, from what is known or what is classified as Amir. He is the one that can benefit because he understands the worth of Amir al-Mu'mineen. If that discussion has been understood, then we come to the third question. What was meant by Amir? When we call him Amir al-Mu'mineen, when Imam Zain al-Abidin says, Assalamu alayki ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is meant by this word, Amir? And as I said, normally Amir is understood to be the prince or the commander. And this was one meaning. One meaning of the word Amir literally is the one that has imara, the one that has ita'ah, the one who has obedience, the one who needs to be followed. The one who has been given a position and is in charge of a group of people is called Amir. And so this meaning was going back to the previous alqab and titles of the Holy Imam that we mentioned, like the Hujjah of God who has authority over the people, the Amin of Allah who has been given the responsibility of guidance. Amir al-Mu'min was the one who had ita'ah and wilaya and authority over the mu'mineen. This was one understanding that we understand, and some of those issues we have discussed previously. Walakin we have another riwayah from Abu Hamza al-Thumali, rahmatullahi alayhi, who has also given or narrated to us the dua of Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam, Abi Hamza, which is one of the most recommended supplications to be recited in the nights of Shahr Ramadan. Abu Hamza gives us a riwayah explaining to us what was meant, or what was one of the meanings rather of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Says, I entered one day to my master Imam Baqir salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, and I said, لماذا سمي أمير المؤمنين أميرا? Why was Amir al-Mu'mineen called Amir? What's the meaning of this Amir? And as I said, these riwayat are there for us to ponder over. Straight away, before looking at the answer, we've understood something about the true believers, the true followers of A'imma. The true followers of A'imma are indulged in the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam, that they wish to find out more. They want to know more about the realities of this man. And they're inquisitive in gaining knowledge, whatever knowledge it may be. Whatever knowledge it may be of the religion of Islam, they're inquisitive, they want to ask more. How many people have bothered to even think about why we call him Amir al-Mu'mineen? We look at the translation, very simply, commander of the faithful, prince of the believers, method, and end of story. How many of us went to ask and find out, actually, when was he called Amir al-Mu'mineen? When was he given this title? And the answer would come on the day of Ghadir, as Sheikh al-Mufid mentions. How many of us answer some questions which actually are so simple and so basic, but how many of us delve into looking at these issues? And this is just one example. He says, I came and I said, what was the meaning of Amir? Why was he called Amir al-Mu'mineen? Salamullah alayhi. And so Imam Baqir alayhi salam says, min miratil ilm, from the word mira. And the ulama, when they discuss this word mira, they tell us that mira literally refers to food. Or more specifically, it refers to when a father, for example, collects food together in a packet and brings it to his family and children at home to feed them. Or when a tajir and a businessman is selling food, for example, and he collects it together. Imam Baqir alayhi salam said, from this word mira and miratul ilm comes the word Amir. And this is why our holy Imam alayhi salam was called Amir al-Mu'mineen. Meaning what? The shurrah, those who have commentated on Ziyarat Aminullah, have said what Imam Baqir alayhi salam was trying to say is that in the way that a child is fed by his father, the father brings food for the family, for example, in the afternoon, at night time, he brings the rizq. Likewise, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was called such because he feeds us with the food and the nutrition of ilm and knowledge. And that's why he was known as Amir al-Mu'mineen. Miratul ilm, the food of knowledge, in the way that the tajir goes to give out his food and sell his food, and people eat from that food. They become stronger. They gain nutrition from food. Likewise, ta'am gives me life and nutrition and strength. Amir al-Mu'mineen is the one who gives me the food of knowledge and ilm to strengthen a person's soul and nafs and give nutrition to that person's faith and belief. I.e., Amir al-Mu'mineen was referring most specifically to the knowledge of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And as I said, why was it Mu'mineen? His knowledge is for everyone. Of course, his knowledge can be gained by, can be used by everyone, but it was only the mu'min who understood the worth of Ali bin Abi Talib that can gain from the knowledge of Abu al-Hasan alayhi salam. And here I wish to give you an example of the wujud of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Later on, we'll discuss how this statement in particular is very relevant to me and you. We're told once, and I heard this anecdote from one of the ulama in the holy city of Qom, who used to live in Najaf al-Ashraf. He was born in Najaf al-Ashraf, and he studied there until eventually he was kicked out by Saddam, and he returned, or he went to Iran. He says, we were in Najaf al-Ashraf. My father used to be an alim there and a part of the Hawza. And this person as well, he was young, this Sayyid, and he was living in Najaf. He said, we were visited once by Ayatollah al-Mishkini, rahmatullah. Ayatollah Mishkini is one of the ulama that passed away some years ago, who used to be from Iran. He said, Ayatollah Mishkini used to have good relationships with our family, and he knew us well. And he would stay at our house, for example, whenever he would come to Najaf al-Ashraf. And Ayatollah Mishkini, rahmatullah alayhi, decided to stay there for 1 month. In actual fact, Sheikh al-Mishkini never studied in Najaf. Most of his studies, if not all, have been in Iran, in Qom. But he decided to visit Najaf al-Ashraf for 1 month. بعنوان زيارة, to come for a ziyarah and benefit from the ulama that are there, ask them questions, benefit from the ilm that is present there. And he wanted to come for 1 month, so he left his family there in the holy city of Qom with the intention that he's going to stay for 1 month and return. This Sayyid who narrates the story says that in actual fact he came with the intention for 1 month, but when he saw the status of the hawza and the ilm and the ulama, he ended up staying for 10 months. And then he went back. And when he had first come to the holy city of Najaf, Shaykh al-Mishkini had told these ulama that in Qom, he said at that time, we used to have what is known as Dars Akhlaq. Once a week, in the weekends, the Hawza weekends, normally Thursday and Friday, on a Thursday or a Wednesday night, we'd have Dars Akhlaq, a lesson on morals and ethics and etiquette, taken from the Holy Quran, tafsir of the Quran, the Kalam of Ahlul Bayt, alayhim salam. Shaykh al-Mishkini said, when I came to Najaf al-Ashraf, I thought, let me tell the ulama here that this is what we do, and it would be a very good idea that you do it here as well. At that time, he said there was no Dars Akhlaq, there was no lessons, public lessons on Akhlaq. And he said, likewise, when I go to Mashhad al-Muqaddasa, I want to tell the ulama there that it's a good idea and we can benefit from it. He said, I came to Najaf, I wanted to benefit from the ulama, tell them about my experiences that I had in Qom with these lessons of Dars Akhlaq. And first I was staying at the house of this Sayyid who is narrating this story. At first, Shaykh al-Mishkini was staying in our house. After a while, Shaykh al-Mishkini wants to be more comfortable, you know, someone's house, his family are there, we can't stay there for too long and give them difficulty. He said, I got a room in Madrasa of Al-Burujardi. And this Madrasa, Sayyid Al-Burujardi, was very close to the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen. So for the few months that I was there, I stayed in this a small room in the Madrasa. And because it was close, you know, normally someone, if he has come to Najaf for the first time, or he rarely is able to visit the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he is of course going to try and visit the shrine as much as he can. Someone, for example, can lives there all of his life or all year round, they go once a day or a few times a week. This person, he rarely gets the opportunity, he wants to maximize the amount that he can go. Shaykh al-Mishkini says, when I saw that my place of residence now is very close to the shrine of Abu al-Hasan Salamullah alayhi, I would go for Salatul Fajr, and I'd go for Salatul Dhuhrain, and I'd go for Salatul Maghribi wal Isha, and I would see different people coming and going. And he said, I would see that all of the big ulama of Najaf al-Ashraf at the time, at least once a day, one person comes at Fajr, one comes at Maghrib, one comes at Dhuhr, one comes after Maghrib. At least once a day, all of the big asatidha and teachers and ulama and maraji would come and visit Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, and I noticed whilst I was there during the ziyarah, coming and visiting, and I saw people around me, I noticed the effect that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam has on our souls and on our hearts. He says, when I had first come, I was going to tell the ulama and maraji, have you ever thought about doing this Dars Akhlaq? He says, but then I told these same ulama, who originally I had told about, you know, the Sayyid, who I told them I'm going to tell the ulama about Dars Akhlaq, I told him. He says, I realized that when they have the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the ziyarah of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and they visit Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam regularly, then Abu al-Hasan alayhi salam enters certain ma'arif into their hearts that no longer do they need any Dars Akhlaq. His ziyarah is enough to enrich their hearts, to ensure that they have good morals and good akhlaq in their life. Why? Because as I said, Imam Baqir says, Miratul ilm, in the way that the father brings the food and he feeds his children with that food and they are nourished. This was also the state of Amir al-Mu'mineen, that when someone came with ma'rifah, understanding him with purity in his heart, Amir al-Mu'mineen entered ilm into that person's heart, akhlaq and morals into that person's heart. And that's why he was called Amir al-Mu'mineen. And therefore, if we've understood the real meaning or philosophy behind calling Imam Ali alayhi salam with this title, then the kalam is now directed towards us. For how many people do we have that spend time looking at the ma'arif and the knowledge given to us by Ali bin Abi Talib and his family. How many people do we have that ask questions about the holy book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or wish to enrich themselves with the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam? And I'm not talking about everyone becoming an alim. No, an alim goes to hawza, studies, he has his own responsibility. But a person in his everyday day-to-day life, how many people, for example, now such a good opportunity that they go and look and delve into the holy book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why is it an issue that a person cannot, for example, dedicate one day a week for the rest of his life to study the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Holy Quran? Now it's so easy. If you don't find an alim in your city, you can benefit from them online. How many, inshallah, people are there to give explanation on tafsir of the holy book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We were told Amir al-Mu'mineen is the one who gave us this knowledge for me and you to benefit from. But those who classify themselves as mu'mineen, how much did we take of the knowledge of Abu al-Hasan alayhi salam? Often I say that people have many problems living in the West, for example, trying to hold on to faith. So many issues that we see today. With regards to my faith, with regards to my practice, with regards to my relationship with others, so many issues that we have. And we look right and left to find the answer to these issues. I give an example often in regards to this issue. One of my teachers, I remember, told me once in the city of Qom, he said in his house, normally a lot of the houses in the Middle East, Asia, and other places have basements. In the UK, in London, we're not that lucky. A lot of houses are not blessed with basements, but the Sardab, the Zir Zameen, whatever you call it, they have a lot of these in houses in the Middle East and other parts of the world. The alim, he told me that one day in his house, there's a very bad smell coming. Often you don't know where the smell is coming from. So when they started smelling this odor and it's getting worse and worse and worse, they start to spray one thing and put these candles and wash this thing and remove this thing and get rid of this and get rid of that and change this and change that. And they did all of these things, but the smell is still there. I'm trying to get rid of the problem. I'm spraying this. I'm burning candles with fragrance. I'm bringing flowers. I'm washing this. I'm changing the carpets. The smell is still there. Until eventually, after doing all of these things, he goes into the basement and he sees that somehow a lot of cats, for example, in Qom, there's the cats that stray, often wild cats. One of these cats had entered into his basement without him knowing, and it had gone right to left and strolled there for a while. It realized it couldn't get out until the cat eventually died. Because it had died, the odor that was coming was then rising up to the ground floor and other parts of the house, and they didn't realize that this was the reason. What did you understand from this? What we understood from this is that sometimes I have a problem, but the human being, when he doesn't realize what his problem is, he'll try everything else. He'll spray as many things as he can, no matter how many things you spray and how many candles you light, because that thing is still there in the basement. The smell is never going to go. The initial problem, because it still remains, you can cover it with all different types of things that you want, but the initial problem, because it is still there, the smell will never go. This is the state that me and you have today. We have so many issues today in our lives. We have issues of school and children. We have workplace issues. We have relationship issues. We have mental issues. People with all types of problems. People are unable to become spiritual, get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we try to cover it up with one thing and another thing, but in the way that until I remove that cat that has died in the basement, the smell will remain no matter how many things I spray. Until I fix the initial problem, all of these other things will remain. And so if you ask, what then is the thing that I need to fix? The hadith comes and says, Al-jahlu aslu kulli shar. Every problem, every evil, every issue that I have comes from staying away from ilm. Whether that is ilm of the dunya or ilm of deen. The ilm of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. The more a person enriches his heart with the knowledge of Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam and his family, the more they will realize that problems of their dunya also go. Problems of dunya are relieved when a person gains the ma'arif and knowledge of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Problems of akhirah, of course, are removed. So many issues in your life, so many things that you wish to solve, that you face in the West, that you faced in a dunya of the modern age. So many of these issues are removed by holding on to the ilm of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. That's why he was called Amirul Mu'mineen, Miratul Ilm, the one who would give knowledge to the Mu'mineen. The issue is the Mu'min has to be there to take that knowledge, to enrich his heart with the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Rather than going right and left and trying to find other solutions, come to the door of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And I'll give you one example in relation to the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, how people struggled. And again, I say, yes, the ulama, they have a different responsibility, and of course their path is different. Even the normal believer has to struggle and look for this knowledge of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And when you gain this knowledge, then you realize automatically my salah suddenly is so much better than it used to be. When I open the Holy Quran, I can connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much better than I could before. I find myself having much more proximity to Sahib Zaman than before, all because of the ilm of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. There is an anecdote mentioned of one of the ulama. There's a difference of opinion as to who actually this alim is, but the one that I have read is that this was from the life of Muhaddith Noori. Muhaddith Noori, rahmatullahi alayhi, one of the scholars, comes with one of his companions to do the ziyarah of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. And as we know, Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam has been given certain things by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, جعل الله الشفاء في تربته. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed shifa of all amrad and all ailments in the turba of Husein alayhi salam. وجعل الله الأئمة من ذريته. And the Aimma alayhim salam were placed in his lineage, from his progeny. And استجابة الدعاء تحت قبته. Under his dome, whenever something is asked, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers that dua. We're told that Muhaddith Noori, when he's coming with his companion and they wish to do the ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Muhaddith Noori says that there's two books I'm trying to find. What I want us to understand from this is how much people struggle for the ilm of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and how me and you can also do something to gain from Miratul Ilm that was Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam. He says, I was with my friend, we were going to the ziyarah. I told my friend that I'm looking for two books. Sometimes it happens, you want to find one book, it's very important, you can't find it anywhere, you go here, you go there, you can't find it. There's certain things in that book that I need, that affect what I'm doing, but I can't find that book anyway. He says that I told him that when we get to the shrine and we do the ziyarah, under the dome, whatever dua is done, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, inshallah, will answer. I want to ask for these two books that I can find. Even that in itself, that when he goes to do ziyarah, he's not asking for something dunyawi, he's asking for ilm of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And again, I say, ilm is that thing which makes a person's dunya the best of dunya and akhirah the best of akhirah. We said we went to do the ziyarah of Sayyid al-Shuhada. We did the ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Whilst we were doing the ziyarah of Imam Hussein under the dome, after the ziyarah was finished, I asked the Holy Imam, I'm looking for these two books. I mentioned the books, and I said, with the sake of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Ya Allah, allow me to find these books. Says he leaves. After doing the ziyarah, he prays the 2-unit salah. And as he leaves, as he goes to the place where he left his shoes outside of the shrine, he sees a woman sitting there selling. And one of the things that she's selling, 2 books. Now he realizes this person was a pure individual, Muhaddith Noori, was close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must have answered my dua with the wasila and the sake of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. Says I asked I went to look at what these two books are. I found these are the exact two books that I was looking for. I asked this woman, what are you doing? Are you selling these? Are these yours? What's happening? She said, I'm selling them. How much are you selling them for? She said 25, whatever the currency was. Let's say dinar, 25 dinar. Now he looks at all of his pockets. His friend also looks at what he has, and all they have is six dinar. But look how people struggle to find that knowledge of Ali bin Abi Talib and his family. I only have 6. She's selling it for 25. So first what he does is he takes off his aba and he sells it on the road and he gets some money. You see, still I'm short. He takes off his turban and he sells his turban to someone passing by. Still he sees that he's short. Then he takes off the saya, the qaba. He takes off and sells it. He says, still I'm short. Now what do I have left? All I have is one dish dasha now left. I sold the aba, I sold the saya, I sold the turban. What is left? He says, what was left for him to sell were his shoes. He says, I sold my shoes until finally I got 25 dinar and I bought those 2 books just so that I can gain from the ma'arif of Ahlul Bayt alayhi wassalam. Imam Baqir salawatullahi wasalamu alayhi says, the reason why Amir al-Mu'mineen was called Amir al-Mu'mineen is because he was like a father who comes to feed his children with the rizq that he has bought. This was the way in which Amir al-Mu'mineen enriched the soul of the believer with ulum of Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalam. And therefore, what was left, sometimes the father comes, he brings the food. The child sometimes, when he doesn't realize what's good for him, the father or the mother, the parents, they bring the best of food, that which is the best for the health of the child, which is most beneficial for the child. But the child, because he doesn't realize what is good for him or bad for him, so many times he won't eat. So many times he'll go and eat something else that isn't good for his health. This is the status of me and you today. Amir al-Mu'mineen came and gave me knowledge, but so many times I don't take and eat from the knowledge of Ali bin Abi Talib. And so Imam Sajjad alayhi salam in this ziyarah says, Assalamu alayki ya Amin Allah fi ardi. Wa hujjatahu ala ibadi, Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Peace be upon that individual who brought the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala down onto this earth for us to benefit from. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the holy nights of Shahr Ramadan to allow us to benefit from ma'arif of Ahlul Bayt and Quran al-Kareem, to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to get closer to service of Sahib al-Asri was Zaman, and for all the believers that are unwell, all of those who are in difficulty, especially with the times that we are facing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives all of them shifa. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.